Okay, let's just dive right into this. In this explainer, we are completely deconstructing one of the absolute most lucrative corners of the internet right now, the high RPM finance niche. Look, if you're in the content game, you probably already know that financial topics attract some incredibly high-paying advertisers. But breaking into this space, actually holding people's attention, yeah, that is a completely different beast. So today, we're going to lay out the exact blueprint for taking dense, frankly kind of dry financial data and transforming it into highly engaging, dynamic content that actually cuts through the noise. We'll be pulling actionable insights from top creators, financial institutions, and animation experts to see exactly how the pros are doing it. To kick things off, I want to share a fantastic quote pulled straight from the r/stock market community on Reddit. It says, "Everyone is a genius in a bull market, the Dunning-Kruger effect." This perfectly captures the psychological allure and, honestly, the biggest trap of the finance niche. Think about it. When the market is strictly going up, everyone suddenly feels like a financial guru, right? That is the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. It's a cognitive bias where people with very limited knowledge massively overestimate their own expertise. And for content creators, this is incredibly dangerous. It basically means the market is totally flooded with overconfident voices just churning out generic, low-quality advice. It creates a massive wall of noise.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. How do you actually stand out when everyone with a Wi-Fi connection wants to be the next big financial influencer? Look, if you just sit in front of a microphone and repeat the exact same generic advice everyone else is giving, you are going to get absolutely buried by the algorithm. To dominate this space, we need a totally different approach. We need to leverage smart AI tools to streamline our research and our scripting, and we have to use purposeful motion graphics to bring the data to life. Basically, you have to look better, sound smarter, and most importantly, be more reliable than the endless sea of self-proclaimed geniuses out there.
Which brings us to part one, the foundation, scripting complex financial concepts.
Okay, so before we even think about flashy animations, we absolutely have to talk about the words on the page. In the finance niche, your script is your literal lifeline. Quality, accuracy, and depth are what build your credibility. Get the facts wrong, you lose trust instantly. Game over. But if your information is perfectly accurate yet incredibly boring, well, you're going to lose the viewer's attention just as fast. Take the concept of smart beta, for example. It's an investment strategy that seeks to enhance returns or reduce risks by using alternative weighting schemes. That definition is pulled straight from a Fidelity learning resource. It's 100% accurate, sure. But let's be real. If you just read that out loud to a viewer, you are going to bore them to tears. Dense concepts like alternative weighting schemes just don't inherently connect with people. Your script has to take that dense institutional information and wrap it in a compelling, emotionally connected narrative arc. You have to translate the jargon into a story about your viewers' personal financial goals, their desire for passive income or their ultimate dream of financial freedom.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates how we actually achieve that perfect balance of accuracy and engagement. This four-step workflow comes directly from the experts at Lexro AI, who literally specialize in building automated finance channels. Step one is straightforward. Generate ideas by analyzing viral content to see what people actually care about right now. Step two is using AI to draft a script that hits those key emotional pain points. But look really closely at steps 3 and 4, because this is exactly where most creators completely drop the ball. They skip the fact-checking. You absolutely must run a specific AI prompt to fact-check your finance script for errors. And then, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to do a human review. Read it out loud. Make sure it sounds like a real breathing person and not a robot, and double-check that the financial concepts are actually sound. Remember, in this niche, credibility is literally everything.
Moving right along to part two, the visual engine, visualizing data with motion.
So, once your script is absolutely bulletproof, you have to bring it to life visually. Think about it. You've got this amazingly accurate, well-written script, but if you just slap a static spreadsheet on the screen, your audience is clicking away in 3 seconds flat. We have to keep viewers glued to the screen by bringing that boring financial data to life using motion graphics and 2D animation. And this brings us to some absolute golden rules from the team at Just Animations, who are total pros at financial data visualization. On the do side, keep it clean. Keep it focused. You only want to highlight the key metrics that actually matter to your specific story, using motion graphics sparingly just to emphasize the narrative the numbers are telling. Now on the don't side, never ever overuse effects. Flashing lights and chaotic transitions just turn serious financial information into a mess of confusing visual noise. And just as importantly, do not neglect accessibility. You need to use high contrast colors and avoid any weird strobe effects so your explainer is fully inclusive for everyone watching.
Okay, so what exactly should you be using? Well, Just Animations highly recommends a few essential visual cues. First, subtle color changes. This is great for instantly separating positive and negative trends. Second, expanding shapes. These are perfect for visually demonstrating growth over time. And finally, directional arrows. These are incredibly useful for gently guiding the viewer's eye to exactly where you want them to look. And let me just add a quick aside here. This requires being intentional. Seriously, if you hop onto Shutterstock right now and search for Rocket Neon, you are going to find over 3,000 hyper-generic flashing 4K stock clips of rockets blasting off over random bar charts. We absolutely do not want that. What we want are purposeful visual cues that genuinely help the viewer understand the data, not just generic stock footage that totally distracts from the core message.
All right, part 3, the packaging, winning the click.
Here is the hard truth. You can have a thoroughly fact-checked script and beautifully clean motion graphics, but if your packaging fails, literally nobody will ever see it. You have to win the click. In the high RPM finance space, the competition for eyeballs is fiercely competitive, but according to Lexro AI's deep dive analysis of top-performing channels, winning thumbnails actually share a very specific, repeatable anatomy. First, they are extremely simple. Do not clutter the screen with junk. Second, use only 1 to 4 words, maximum. Keep it punchy. Third, feature one main, consistent character. Over time, this builds massive brand recognition. And finally, include some sort of contradiction or a shock factor. Look, the goal of your thumbnail isn't to explain the entire video. The only goal is to make the viewer stop scrolling and think, wait, what on earth is that? Triggering that intense curiosity is exactly how you win the click. And my friends, winning the click is how you win the platform.
And that brings us to part 4, the finale, the final growth metric.
The ultimate goal of putting all this intense effort into scripting, fact-checking, animating, and packaging isn't just to get a single piece of content to pop off. No, it's about audience retention, consistent channel growth, and actually scaling your influence in this space over the long haul. I absolutely love this analogy pulled from a script in the Lexro AI training program. In finance, there's a very famous saying, the first $100,000 is the hardest money you'll ever build. And it's so true. In the beginning, your money isn't really doing much work for you. It's entirely built on your own sweat, effort, and discipline. But eventually, compounding takes over, and your money starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Well, the exact same principle applies to building a platform with these explainers. Your first batch of content is going to be a major grind, but if you stick to the blueprint, consistently delivering high-quality, accurate, well-animated content with super clickable packaging, your channel's authority will begin to compound, and eventually, the algorithm is going to step in and do the heavy lifting for you.
So, looking at all this, it really poses a massive question for anyone trying to enter this space. We've deconstructed the pitfalls of overconfidence, the absolute necessity of rigorous scripting, the golden rules of clean motion graphics, and the deep psychology behind winning the click. So, what are we going to do? Are we just going to let this knowledge flatline, or are we going to apply this blueprint and launch some truly high-value, needle-moving content? All the tools are sitting right out there waiting for us, and now we actually have the strategy to use them.
The algorithms are always going to change, but human psychology and that deep-seated desire for financial freedom never will. The real question is, what financial story are you going to tell first to capture that attention? Seriously, don't let your knowledge flatline right here. If you want to master these strategies and keep your own learning curve pointing straight up, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. We have got so many more deep dive explainers coming your way to help you completely cut through the noise and build something truly impactful. Hit subscribe. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one.